Here we go, college football payoff podcast, week 10?
Yeah. Oh, no, 11.
Week 11.
Damn. And episode 30.
Wow, big 3-0.
We've sat here 30 times.
We are already at week 10, or week 11.
Week 11.
Week 11.
Yes.
I want to say 10 so badly. I don't know why, because the NFL's at week 10. That's
Yeah.
why. All right, I'm Dan. That's Big Country. We are back with more picks. And last week, you kept your winning ways somewhat. You went 2-2, right?
Yeah, 2-2. I mean, I guess if we're looking at Jews, I lost a little bit, but hey, I'm on to the next week.
Still 22-10 on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
22-10. Tell your friends.
That's huge, and that's what's keeping the podcast going, because I went 0-3.
Oh, you went 0-3.
I went 0-3. Buckeyes, I thought that was a sure lock.
Yeah.
And they're going to be part of my plays this week because of what I saw. Cincinnati is proving more and more that they really do not deserve to be top 4, no matter how many people want to bitch and complain about them being undefeated. They almost lost to Tulsa.
So did Ohio State.
Yeah, but Ohio State ended up
Yeah.
winning by more. That they weren't down to the
Listen,
Tulsa was not down to the
I want
2-yard line and fumbled the ball.
Right.
With
but
a chance to win
they
the
still
game.
have to make the 2 to tie it. Anyways,
Still.
I still want Cincy to make it. So
I would like for them to
we
make
need
it, but it's not
Oklahoma
going to happen.
lose. We need Oklahoma to lose and Oregon to lose, and Cincy can make it. Because if Oklahoma goes undefeated, they're jumping them for sure.
Yeah.
So if Oregon has 2 losses and Oklahoma has 1 loss, I'll take the undefeated Cincy over the Oklahoma team.
If Alabama loses again and Cincinnati stays undefeated, is Cincinnati better than a 2-loss Alabama?
Probably not. Right now, who knows? But Cincy's defense is great.
Yeah.
Cincy's offense is, man, my Desmond Ritter ticket for Heisman, I'm close to throwing out. So
Yeah, that's rough.
all right.
But, all right, so we got more games this week. I got 3. I believe you have 3 as well.
Yes.
All right. Let's just get right into it then. I'm going to start off because this is fresh in my mind. It's Ohio State, Purdue. This is at Ohio State, and the spread is 20.5, and I'm going with Purdue plus 20.5. Reason being, what I saw from both teams last week. Well, Ohio State throughout the year. They've been a solid offense, but their defense is so suspect. You don't know what you're going to get. And then after I watched the Ohio State game last week, I turned on Purdue, Michigan State. Purdue has a wide receiver, David Bell, who is going to give the Buckeyes problems. He had like 200-something yards against Michigan State, and I can see him being a big-time problem against the Buckeyes. They cannot stop a pass. They do not get enough pressure on the quarterback. It's like they play a zone the entire game, or they're playing 10 yards off the ball. And with this guy, if you give him 10 yards off the ball, they throw a little bubble screen, he's going to be gone. I can see the Buckeyes putting up a lot of points, but I can also see them giving up a lot of points. And 3 touchdowns, I'd like for them to win by 3 touchdowns. I don't know if it's going to happen. I actually have a bad feeling that Purdue's going to win this game. So whenever you have that feeling and you know that their defense is just not as good as what they were, and Purdue has a dynamic wide receiver who's going to be able to torch this team, I think this is free money. It's Purdue plus 20.5. That's it. I hate to say it, but I don't think Ohio State deserves the top 4 spot right now.
So Cincinnati does?
No, Cincinnati does not.
Okay.
Did not say that. I said I don't.
Indirectly, you may have said it.
If Ohio State ends strong, then yeah, they
deserve
deserve to stay in that top 4.
If they win out and win the Big Ten championship,
because now you have Purdue this week,
Yeah.
and this is also a look-ahead spot for the Buckeyes because they have Michigan State, and then they have Michigan.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Purdue winning last week is probably making them focus on Purdue. So
I hope it is, but their defense all year has been so bad at stopping the passing game. And that receiver for Purdue, oh my God, in that game last week, I was watching that and sat there, instantly thought he's going to torch us.
Yeah.
So Purdue plus 20.5.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's the way to go. I mean, 20.5. They've knocked off 2 top 3 teams this year. Man, but this line being 20.5 actually scares me that Ohio State's going to blow them out. Like, I don't know why this line would be 20.5.
When there's a big spread for Ohio State, though,
yeah, like last week,
it's
or
not
15.
Yeah, they do not cover well.
Yeah,
I mean,
just man, if this spread was 12.5 or 13.5, it'd be all over Purdue.
so the last 4 weeks, Purdue has covered by more than, let's see, what was the last 4 weeks. 3 of those games they were double-digit underdogs, and they covered all 3 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, I believe, is on the other side of it. I don't have that up in front of me, but that's the big thing. Is I think Purdue's just, and going from experience with Ohio State Purdue games, it's always close and it's always a scary situation.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about it. I hope Ohio State does cover, but I don't think they will. And I honestly think it's going to be that receiver, David Bell. So,
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you got?
All right, I got another Big Ten game. Okay. I think I've probably given out this angle a couple times this year. I gave it out last week. We're riding with it again. We're going to go with Iowa unders. So they're playing Minnesota this week, hosting them at home at one of the toughest places to play in the Big Ten. This is a tale of 2 teams with great defenses and below average offenses. And below average is probably the nicest way I can say it. I like Tanner Morgan a lot, but man, he isn't the guy that we saw, what was it, 2 seasons ago, the pre-COVID season? Yeah, man, he was an all-star then. He's just not showing it to me this year. His offense is only gaining 361 yards per game, and more than half of that is coming on the ground. You're not going to be able to run the ball against this Iowa defense, who's allowing less than 100 yards per game. We saw what happens when Iowa takes away a run-heavy team's only option or most reliable option. They're forced to throw. I don't necessarily trust Tanner Morgan to be able to throw. I mean, consistently throughout this whole game. But on the other side, you can't trust Iowa's offense at all. I mean, Petrus has just not been able to get the offense going since that Maryland game where they had like plus 6 or 7 on the turnover margin. Iowa games, this total's at 37. We're going to go under here. I definitely can't take the Iowa minus 5.5, and I can't trust Minnesota on the other side. This under 37 has hit for Iowa in its last 3 games, and it would have hit for Minnesota in their last game against Illinois, which they dropped last week against a pretty weak Brett Bielema team at home also. So Iowa only being able to put up 17 points against Northwestern last week also showed me that, man, they're not going to be able to fix this offense before the end of the year. The only thing that worries me about this really low total is the turnover potential. In a lot of cases, turnovers help an over when a team can get the ball back and score real quick. But I can't trust any of these offenses to actually put up touchdowns. So I think we have a really heavy defensive game. Additionally, I would call this you call 2 offenses that pass a shootout. This should be like a field goal off or field goal out, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. But man, I think this is just going to be field goal after field goal after field goal. I think we might see a 10-3 halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
especially after how Minnesota played last week with their 14 points.
Man, I just don't. Man, they were on such a great roll. They beat Purdue, beat Nebraska, beat Maryland, beat Northwestern, and then actually smacked the shit out of Northwestern. Then to drop a game to Illinois like that, who just doesn't have a great roster this year, is really disappointing. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with under 37 for this Minnesota-Iowa game.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. All right, well, we're going to stay in the Big Ten then. I'm looking at the Michigan-Penn State game. Michigan is a 1.5-point favorite at Penn State, and the over-under is 48.5. So before we started recording, I told you Michigan minus 1.5 was going to be my play there because I don't see Michigan winning because I think Penn State is kind of gone. I don't think they're in it right now. Their offense is nothing special to me, and Michigan's defense is really good. You mentioned something about how you don't like Michigan's offense.
Yeah, we were talking before the show, and I'm just that McNamara plus the 2 quarterback system just doesn't get it done for me.
So the more I think about this, and I'm looking at the over under, I'm gonna go with the under 48.5 in this one. So I'm gonna have like a.
Okay, so wait, you're playing 2 sides, or not 2 sides, but 2 angles on this game?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me talk myself through it, and I'll give you what I'm playing. Because the whole reason I want Michigan minus 1.5 was because Michigan's defense is so good against Penn State's offense, and Penn State's offense is not. They don't look like they're clicking. Sean Clifford has his moments, but I think Michigan's defense is just that good. But then on the other side of the ball, it's going to be a stalemate because Penn State's defense, Michigan's offense, they're both kind of head-to-head equals. And then you look at some trends, and it's like in the last 7 meetings, the favorite's 6-1 against the spread. 1.5 points is not a lot. I don't think Michigan loses. I think Michigan wins out until they get to Ohio State because they're playing really good football.
Mm-hmm.
The under, I want to play that because, like we said, Michigan's defense is giving up 16 points a game. Penn State's defense is giving up 16.7 points a game. And I don't like Penn State's offense. You don't like Michigan's offense.
No, I hate Michigan's offense.
So I go straight to the turnovers. And Michigan has 3 turnovers on the year. Penn State has 2 on the year. So they're not really turning the ball over. I think we're going to go with the under 48.5.
Okay.
Michigan, Penn State, under 48.5 in this one.
Man, I like it. I mean, I'm kind of leaning Penn State in this game.
So if Penn State wins the game, what's the score going to be? Do you think it's a shootout, or do you think it's low scoring?
No, it's definitely not a shootout because I don't know if Michigan. My problem is I think I don't know if Michigan gets down, I don't know if they can pass their way back into the game. So
no, they can't.
No, so I would say that I would probably go under.
Running game is going to be
probably like a 24-20 game.
Yep.
To be honest, what's 31-17?
31-17 is 48.
Is that the total?
48.5.
All right.
Yeah, we're doing the under. All right.
Yeah.
Michigan, Penn State, we're going under 48.5. See, that's how you talk yourself through a pick. I started at Michigan minus 1.5.
Tune in next week to see if it was worth it.
We talked about it. I started looking.
Yeah.
And now I switched it. So under 48.5 in Michigan, Penn State.
Perfect. All right, man. I am going to go to an ACC game finally. Man, I've been on Big Ten games for the last couple of weeks. Let's go to an ACC game. We'll return to the Big Ten from the last pick this week. But anyways, we're going to go with, right off the bat, just Notre Dame minus 5.5. They're traveling to Virginia this week. They're playing a Virginia offense that is very high production, but they're playing a Virginia defense that is very just has holes all over the field. This Virginia defense gives up 219 yards rushing per game. Notre Dame's outsized over the Virginia line about like 15 to 20 pounds per player across the line. Plus, they have a running back that I think will be a Heisman candidate next year in Kyron Williams. He's already got 802 yards and 9 touchdowns this season. I like Virginia's quarterback, Brennan Armstrong, but he's not going to be able to have a run game that complements his pass game this week. I think they're going to hold him or I think they're going to force him to throw the ball probably 75% of the time. I just don't see. Man, this is just simply, guys. This is just a fate of the Virginia defense. Mm-hmm. I trust Jack Cohn. I honestly trust whoever's in the at the quarterback for Notre Dame, even if he gets hurt. They are only averaging 133 rushing yards per game, but I honestly think this is just a big opportunity for Kyron Williams to pop off. Notre Dame's defense is going to be able to handle this. Brian Kelly's a great coach. Their defense is coached very well. And if we look at Virginia's schedule, they haven't played a good defense all year. This is by far the best defense they're going to play. I mean, when you look at their schedule, they've played William and Mary, who's that? Illinois, terrible defense. North Carolina, non-existent defense. Wake Forest lets teams run and throw all over them, even though they have only lost one game. Miami, Louisville, Duke, and Georgia Tech, all ACC schools. The only good defense in the ACC is, Pitt's okay, but Clemson's defense is by far leagues above any other team in the ACC, and Virginia doesn't have to play them. They gave up 66 points to BYU over Halloween weekend. I just think Notre Dame controls this game the whole way. Night game. I know it's at Virginia, but I don't think any type of hostile environment is going to affect Notre Dame emotionally. So let's ride Jack Cohn and let's ride Kyron Williams to have a great game. I think they'll definitely be able to cover this 5.5. It's not going to be a field goal game. Mm-hmm. So if you can get anything under that 6.5, get a touchdown, I definitely think Notre Dame wins by that margin.
Yeah.
So let's go Notre Dame.
Beauty. All right. I'm going to get out of the Big Ten as well. And this is going to be a fun one. New Mexico State at Alabama. It's Alabama's yearly, throwaway game right in the middle of conference play to make sure everyone knows that Alabama can still score points. They're favored 51.5 points against New Mexico State. And I'm taking the points with New Mexico State. Alabama, I watched them last week against LSU, and everyone said, Ed Ogeron out. They were saying, is this the game that he gets them to rally up to beat a team? And they actually had a chance to beat Alabama in that game. I think they lose by 6, or they had a chance to score a touchdown. Whatever it was, Alabama did not look like Alabama. And that's a couple games this year that Alabama has not looked like Alabama. And I think giving 51.5 points to any team is absurd. So this is just simply seeing that high of a number and saying, how can you stay away? 51.5 points to start off the game. Alabama's offense, pretty damn good, but they've been sputtering as of late, and their defense is what's going to keep them into it. Now, what I see happening is Alabama still wins, obviously. They still put up a lot of points, but Saban is not going to have his guys playing the entire game. You could see them getting up by 35 points or something going into the fourth quarter, third quarter, and he's sitting those guys because he doesn't want anything bad to happen, especially with the playoff coming, the SEC championship game coming, and the rest of their regular season schedule. I think they have Arkansas and Auburn. So he doesn't want anything bad to happen here. But it's their last games. They scored 20 points against LSU, 52 against Tennessee. So right there, if they score 52 against this team, they got to pitch a shutout. 49 against Mississippi State. Obviously lost with 38 points to A&M, 42 to Mississippi. And then in the game where they did score more than 60 points, I don't even know who USM is. Southern Miss. They played Southern Miss. It was I don't even know what the spread was in that. But they won 63-14. So they scored 63 points. They still gave up 14 points.
Yeah.
They're not pitching shutouts. They're still giving up points. 51.5 is too much. I see a big number, and I just want to roll with it. So New Mexico State plus 51.5. It's going to be ballsy. It's going to be hairy. But I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bro, at this point, I don't think Alabama should be a 50-point favorite over anybody. Mm-mm. So, yeah, I get your feeling behind that. All right, for my final game, we are going again on the fade train, which we have been very heavily this year, on Northwestern. We're going to take Wisconsin minus 24.5 this week. And two teams trending in different ways is I like this angle, and that's what I'm going to go with. Wisconsin has finally found a way to get their offense to start producing. They scored 30, 27, and 52 points in the last 3 games against Big Ten opponents, And they're on top of that, they're only allowing 54.7 yards rushing per game. Now, the best player on this Northwestern team is Evan Hall, their star running back. He has almost 800 yards this year and 5 touchdowns. Man, he's not going to do anything this game. Wisconsin is the best defense in the country against the run, by far. They're only allowing 15 points a game. Now, this is a Northwestern team that I've already won my under 6.5 win total bet on. Mm-hmm. They are starting a new quarterback over the last couple weeks. Last week, he threw 3 picks. His name is Andrew Marty. He's not been able to revitalize any type of production on this offensive side of the ball for Northwestern. And additionally, Northwestern has given up 413 yards per game compared to Wisconsin's 213 total yards per game. That's an insane stat. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Graham Mertz is finally showing why they picked him over Jack Cohn, which is encouraging. Yes, they started 1-3. Yes, they were a tough team to bet on earlier this year with a lot of disappointment. But I think the tide's turned. I think it's time to back Wisconsin. Man, they've beat a great Purdue team, beat a great Iowa team, and smashed Rutgers last week. I think they're riding high right now. They want to finish the season well under Paul Chryst. Man, I have to go with Graham Mertz in Wisconsin here. Mm-hmm. I mean, their defense is just I can't find the right words for it, but they're just completely dominant. They're going to shut down the run. They're going to force Marty to throw, and they're going to win the turnover battle. And the reason they've been winning by such high margins lately is because of winning that turnover battle. 3 games ago, when they were playing, let's pull it up here. 3 games ago, they were playing Purdue. They forced 5 turnovers. 2 games ago when they were playing Iowa, they forced 3 turnovers. Last week against Rutgers, they forced 4 turnovers. I expect this trend to continue, especially with a struggling quarterback at Northwestern. This line is high, but I'm going to take the Wisconsin minus 24.5.
Yeah.
Shop around. If you can get a 24, that's a lot safer, but 24.5 I'll still take. Screw it.
Yep. Love it. All right. Do you have anything else, or is that your...
No, I only got 3 this week. Just trying to
quick money line
quality
pick.
Picks to win.
Quick money line pick. Rutgers at Indiana. Rutgers is a plus 245 money line underdog. I'm taking Rutgers to beat Indiana in this game. Indiana's having a horrible season. 2-7. Indiana has beaten Rutgers in their last 5 meetings here. But looking back throughout this season, I think Rutgers has a different identity. They're feeling better about themselves. Indiana is just... it's tough to watch them. You know, they don't have Penix Jr., obviously. Jack Tuttle, their backup, he's questionable, lower body. Their running back's questionable. I think this is a perfect spot for Rutgers to finally get one, and not much needs to be said there. 4-5 going against 2-7. Indiana's not that good. Take Rutgers plus 245. All right. You got anything else to add?
No, man. Let's just have a good week. I'm trying to go 3-0. I need a good week out of you, and let's. Man, it sucks. Last week I went 2-2 on the pod, but I had 24 plays on Saturday and went 16-8.
Yeah, I was telling you my card was pretty damn good, except for my 3.
Yeah, so. All
right, man, to recap real quick: Purdue plus 20.5, Michigan under 48.5, and then New Mexico State plus 51.5.
We got Iowa, Minnesota under 37, Notre Dame minus 5.5, and Wisconsin minus 24.5.
There it is.
Let's go.
All right. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, all that good stuff.
Help us grow.
Where do they find us?
At CFP_pod.
Yep.
And that's on Twitter. Find me at Big Country Bets on Twitter. Find
DPOSK13, so it's DPOSK13. Nice. That's on Twitter.
He's revealing his real identity.
There it is. And you can get us wherever you get your
anywhere you can stream podcasts. You can find us.
YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Awesome.
Like we said, like, subscribe, follow, share it with your friends. This is the 30th episode.
Thank you for the support, guys.
I think it said we just hit over 750 downloads.
Yes,
too.
we have.
So we're growing, but podcast is rolling along nicely, and who knows, maybe this is the week you get a 6-0 card. I'm feeling good about it.
Me too.
good. All right, man. You have nothing else, right?
I'm good.
All right, that's Big Country. I am Dan. We will see you next week.